Hello everyone. Today it's Heather in real time and I'm filming in a totally different location. I'm filming in my living room because why not? I got a nice fireplace and some foliage behind me, so we're just gonna roll with it. Today I'm sharing with you some recent reads I have read over the past couple months. Obviously I have a newborn. She just turned 1 month old. I have a older son that's in school now, so time for reading is a little bit minuscule, but I have been reading some. So some of the books I'm gonna talk about I read before my daughter was born, some I've read after. And yeah, I thought I would just share with you what books I've read recently, try to keep you updated with what I think about them, because I don't think I'll have time to do monthly wrap-ups, because I think in total for September I read a grand total of 4 books. You know, go me, but I think that's pretty good with the new kids. So either way, I want to share with you all the books I've read recently. And today's video is so kindly sponsored by Book of the Month. You guys know all about Book of the Month. They are an online book service for readers and I highly recommend them. They have a huge team that goes through new releases every single month and picks the 5 best new releases to offer the readers. So what you do is at the beginning of every month, they release their 5 picks for the month, the 5 books they are selecting readers to get, and you can select 1 or more. You can do add-ons, things like that, and even with that, you can skip a month in case you're not feeling any of the selections with no repercussions at all. You just pick up the next month after that. They are a great service. They have so many different genres within their selections. They usually have a mystery thriller, romance is sometimes in there, historical, paranormal, fantasy. A lot of nonfiction has been in there recently, which is great. And honestly, I love the picks because I like to every month I say I like to guess which ones are going to be in the month, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm vastly wrong. But either way, I get introduced to brand new books that I've never really heard of. And I also want to make sure to tell you guys about their add-ons. So every single month, yes, they do 5 selections that they pick for readers to choose from, but they also have add-ons every single month, and they are in addition to the 5 picks. And new members can always select add-ons as well. They're great. They're kind of like little bonuses in addition to the 5 books that they release every single month as their selections. If you're interested in Book of the Month, which I highly recommend you check them out, you can use the code Bookables at checkout to get your first book for only $9.99, which, let me tell you, is a steal, because usually adult hardback books are pretty pricey, like $20 to $25. Like, that's a lot of money. So to get your first book for only $9.99 is a great price. I highly recommend you check them out. All the links will be down below for you to check them out, peruse, check out their 5 selections, check out their add-ons, things like that. You also check out their previous selections. They have a whole, like, they have their whole catalog on there for you to choose from for previous months if you want to choose one of them. So like I said, the links will be down below. Before I get into the books that I've read recently, I do want to share with you all of the October selections that Book of the Month has. First one being one I've already read, and that is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. What a perfect time to read this book, because this book is all about a modern day witch named Vivi, who at the beginning of this book, her boyfriend breaks up with her and she decides to do one thing that witches are never supposed to do, which is mix vodka and witchcraft together, and she puts like a curse on him, but it doesn't take. And then many years later, the book picks up and he comes back to town and he's supposed to like recharge the ley lines because it's a magical town filled with non-magical folk, but some magical folk. But as soon as he sets foot in town, things start to go awry and the curse actually starts to happen. So him and Vivi have to pair up together. It's kind of like a second chance romance. It's just a great book that has witches in it, but it's like a modern day romance with witches in it, where kind of the underlining one. It's really cool. I really liked it. It's a great October read, honestly. Next up is a mystery thriller, and that is Everything We Didn't Say by Nicole Bart. And this one is all about a character named Juniper who was 19 when her neighbors were brutally murdered right outside their barn, and her younger brother is the prime suspect. And then it has many years later, and she comes back into town to help a friend, but really she's here to repair the relationship with her teenage daughter and to solve the murder of her neighbors that was never really solved. So it's kind of, you know, it's got a mystery thriller element. Another great book to read for October, because 'tis the spooky season. We all like to read mystery thrillers during this time. Next up is The Perishing by Natasha Dion, and this one, I believe, is a black immortal in the 1930s Los Angeles seeks to recover the memory of her past. Oh, that's awesome. So I think it's got like a paranormal aspect, but immersed in the rich historical tapestry of Los Angeles, Prohibition, the creation of Route 66, and the collapse of the St. Francis Dam. The Perishing is a stunning examination of love and justice through the eyes of one miraculous woman whose fate seems to be linked to the city she calls home. So it's got a lot of ties to Los Angeles, and got a paranormal kind of aspect with time travel and stuff. Sounds really intriguing. Then we have The Harlem Shuffle by Colson Whitehead, which the cover is amazing, and gloriously entertaining novel of heists, shakedowns, and ripoffs set in Harlem in the 1960s. Harlem Shuffle is an ingenious story, plays out in a beautifully recreated New York City in 1960s. It's a family saga masquerading as a crime novel, a hilarious morality play, a social novel about race and power, and ultimately a love letter to Harlem. So that's great. So you have books that kind of are a love letter to LA and a love letter to Harlem. Awesome. Last selection is a hunker, and that is The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. This is a huge book, like it's big. This one is a historical book. A master of absorbing sophisticated fiction returns with a stylish and propulsive novel set in 1950s America. So we got a lot of historical books this month, which is awesome. So it takes place in 1954, and then I think it's just kind of all about that, and also takes place in New York as well. So those are the 5 selections, but I also wanted to share with you the add-ons they have for this month. The 2 add-ons they have is Apples Never Fall by Liane Moriarty, which is one I was already planning to buy and read because I read all of her books. She wrote Big Little Lies, in case you're interested. It's kind of like a mystery thriller. This one is all about these siblings whose mother goes missing, and you would report that to police, right? Obviously, but what if your father was the prime suspect? So cue dun dun dun. It's gonna be interesting. I'm super excited about it. And their other add-on they have this month is another great selection for the month of October, and that is The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. If you haven't heard of Alice Hoffman, she's wrote Practical Magic, The Owen Sisters, very magical steeped. This one I believe is the last book in the Owens sister kind of thing. Yeah, it's a breathtaking conclusion that celebrates mothers and daughters. So it's all about the Owens family who's been cursed in love for more than 300 years, but all that is about to change. And we follow a different set of Owens. If you don't know the Owens, I'm sure you've heard the movie Practical Magic. They'll have a curse of love and things like that. It's just very magical because they're all witches and things like that. So in case you're not interested in the 5 selections, you can check out the add-ons as well. Remember, there's add-ons every single month with Book of the Month, so be sure to check them out. So like I said, be sure to check out Book of the Month. I will leave all their links down below for you to check them out. Now on to the books I'm talking about today. The first book I want to talk about is Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw. This one comes out on December 7th. If you don't know who Shay Earnshaw is, she wrote 2 YA kind of witchy novels, and so this is her first adult mystery thriller novel, so I had to read it because I really enjoyed her previous books. And this one, goodness me, if you liked The Village by M. Night Shyamalan, like the movie, you would really love this book. So this book is all about this guy named Travis Wren who has an unusual knack of like finding missing people. Like he can touch an object they touched last and kind of replace their steps. And so he gets tasked to find this famous author, I think her name's Maggie, yes, that has gone missing. I had to write notes because my mind, like I said, and she's gone missing. She's a famous like children's author, like kind of dark children's books, and nobody knows where she's gone. So he kind of retraces it and he goes back to these backwoods like area, and he finds like this whole village there, and that's kind of when the novel cuts off. And then it cuts off, and then it picks up many years later, and we have 2 different characters. They're finding remnants of Travis and Maggie in this village, and they're like, what the heck is going on? And this village is very much like the village in the movie The Village. I keep saying that, I'm sorry. It's called Pastoral, I think. Yeah. It's a community that was found in 1970 that was by like-minded people, and they never leave it. You know, it's kind of like the village in that regard. They don't know what's beyond their walls. They just kind of are very safe and just structured in their village. But our characters that we're following now, I forget their names. I would write them down. I think that's Theo, I think. But they're finding like clues that Maggie and Travis had come to the village and the community, and they can't figure out exactly what it is. So it's really interesting. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I felt like I will say that the twists were pretty good. Like one of them was clearly obvious, but there was other ones that I was very like, that was pretty interesting. But I think it just reminded me so much of The Village, the movie, because like it was very, like you could tell where that was gonna go, and this one kind of followed the same suit. So I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5. I would say if you really like Shay Earnshaw's books and you really like her writing, I would recommend checking out, because the writing in this is really beautiful, very atmospheric. She's very good with atmospheric books, like goodness me. But I would recommend it. It's a great book to read if you love mystery thrillers and like kind of like not like a cult status, you know what I'm saying? But like kind of like that in a way. The next one is out already, and that is The Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella. This one totally, I didn't even realize Sophie Kinsella had a new book coming out until I found it on NetGalley. I was like, oh, but you guys know I've read every single Sophie Kinsella book. She's an adult, like British rom-com author that I love. So this book follows a character named Effie, whose past 2 years have not been the best. Her parents split up. They're selling like their beloved home, and her parents are having like this big party to like say goodbye to their home. And so Effie decides that she's not going to attend. She's going to sneak in because she's going to take some stuff that she really wants to. So this book is told like all in one night pretty much, and it's about her trying to sneak into this party. And then when she's doing that, she hears all of her family have these conversations that she's not supposed to hear, like about their life, about her. She's also reconnecting with her old flame Joe, who she was in love with, that kind of like dumped her a long time ago, that she's still not gotten over. And it was a cute novel. I feel like Sophie Kinsella books, like I have my favorites, and I haven't loved like the past 2 or 3 books she's released, honestly. My favorites by her, I will always say, are I've Got Your Number and My Not So Perfect Life. I really enjoyed them. And I also say with Sophie Kinsella books, the best way to read them is to listen to them, even though I'm saying that, and I read this one physically, but I can't really listen to books right now. Her audiobooks are just so fun because her books are funny. So the audiobooks are just phenomenal in that regard. This one was okay. Again, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. Effie was a character that definitely needed to grow up a lot. Like I was like, oh my gosh, girl, like get over some things. Like people move on, people grow up, people move out. We get it. She was very sentimental. She was very hooked on the idea of tradition and things not changing, which I get, but as a person that's not like, I'm sentimental, but I'm not like very super traditional, it was hard for me to connect with, but I liked it. It's just a fun book. I think this was the first book I finished after I had my daughter. So it was just a fun book to get me out of kind of a long reading slump and things like that. So 3.5 out of 5. If you like Sophie Kinsella books, check it out. If you like are looking just for a funny book, go check it out. But it wasn't one of my favorites. Next up is one of the books I read that's coming out in 2022. And that is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. I just had to, guys, I had to. So this is her sequel to her book that she released this year called, oh goodness, what was it called? It Happened One Summer, and it's about the other sister. It's basically about the first book is about this girl named Piper, who is very much inspired by the character of Alexis on Schitt's Creek, which is great. And she's a rich girl, and they get kind of sent to like this really small like fishing town in Washington State, and they have to like kind of fix up their father's bar and things like that. And she meets a sexy fisherman and boatman, I don't know what you call it, but either way, that was the first book. This book follows the sister named Hannah, and then also Fox, who's also another fisherman. And I didn't like this one as much as It Happened One Summer. I like the romance a little bit more in Happened One Summer, but I really enjoy Tessa Bailey books. They are so fast to read. The romance is there, the steaminess is there. I love kind of this really small boating town. I don't know, it's just really great. I also love that Hannah really loved music and loved vinyls and loved listening to music on vinyls, because I feel like that's like a lost art. But I enjoyed it. Again, I'm going to keep saying this, a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid book. I definitely liked It Happened One Summer a little bit more, but if you're a fan of romance, I would recommend checking this out in March. I know, we got like what? November, December, January, February. We got 5 months. I'm sorry. You hate me. I get it. I hate myself, but you know, I just decided to read it because I wanted to read it. So moving on. Next up, another book that is coming out next month, so not too far away, is The Singles Table by Sarah Decide. This is the 3rd book I read from her. It's kind of all in a series where you don't need to read them all in order. You don't have to read them like chronologically. You can read just book 1, you can read book 3, you can read whatever you want. They kind of just have the same characters spliced throughout the book, if that makes any sense. So in this book, we have a character named Zara, who is a lawyer, and she is celebrity obsessed, and she's always at the singles tables at all of her friends' weddings. And she's also known as like the matchmaker. She can find love for anybody, but she has a hard time finding love for herself. And then she meets Jay, and she meets Jay at like this paintball kind of bachelorette party, and they're both there attending because their friends are getting married, and they struck up a deal of like she'll help him find like a lady and he will help her like introduce her to some celebrity clients that he has, and she's like sold. But of course, as it goes on, they learn that maybe the best connection is with each other. I have to say, I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I love the romance. It was kind of that, what's that trope? Like the grumpy man and the sunshine, like grumpy sunshine, something like that. I forget what it's called. I don't know, but she was so full of life, so sunshiny, and he was just so grumpy all the time. But of course, they meshed perfectly well together. I love the Indian tradition and the Indian heritage steeped in this book. It's great. I love it. And I also love Zara. Zara was a great, fun character. She was just a fun time. She reminded me a lot of Jess from New Girl, where she's quirky and she just loves to do life however she wants to do it. It just was fun. The romance was there. The steaminess was there. I really enjoyed it. Isn't my favorite book. I really liked her previous one called The Dating Plan. I did not like the first book in the series called The Marriage Game, but the last two I've read by her, I've really enjoyed. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. Would highly recommend you check it out because I really liked it. It was just a fun romance novel. And the last book, I forgot to mention this, it's coming out also next month, and that is The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams. I read her first book ever that got released last year called How to Fail at Flirting, and this one is not a sequel to it at all, really. Is it? No, I don't think so. It might be like a companion novel again where you don't have to read them in order. And this book follows a character named Britta who is working at this lifestyle website, and she gets this idea for an article to test this new fitness app out called Fit Me. I believe it's called Fit Me. Yes, and it's all about one that's about fitness, yes, but about wellness. And so she gets paired with a coach, and her coach is I forget his name. Oh my gosh, I didn't write it down. I'm horrible. My life. But either way, she gets paired with the coach. The coach that she gets paired with is actually one of the owners and like pretty much bosses of Fit Me, and he decides just to randomly have somebody to coach. And so him and Britta start talking via text, like with just nutrition and, you know, being positive about yourself, but exercise, things like that. And of course, their text relationship goes much more into nutrition, like expands more than that. They start to have feelings for each other, have friendship, and they finally meet in person because they realize they both live in the same city and things like that. And it's just an adorable book that's all about body positivity. I love that. I love reading about any book that features a plus size main character because your girl is plus size. I highly recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think I like both of her books equally. They're both just very different, but kind of the same, where it's about body positivity and just really, you know, romance, things like that. It was a cute book. So my reviews may be scattered because my brain is totally scattered. I promise I will get better. But I hope you enjoyed this kind of glimpse into what I've been reading recently. I have already finished 2 other books for this month. So yay, reading is happening just slowly but surely. I'm trying to keep it going because I do still really enjoy it, but I'm limited to my phone and Kindle right now because holding a book, like, can you imagine holding this with like holding a newborn? Like, not happening for me. So phone and Kindle are my BFFs right now. I would love to know if you've read any of these books, if you're interested in checking them out and things like that. Again, be sure to check out Book of the Month. I'll leave all of their links down in the description below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, back to pre-recorded videos for a little bit. I shall be back probably in a month for like full-time regular videos. So get excited for that. I'll see you then. Bye.